won 2 games in their tournament. They were 47 at Ken Palm. Utah State is now 38 in the Ken Palm ratings. So it puts them clearly. We'll see what the committee does, but it puts them ahead of that Rhode Island team from last year.
Well, that's good news for Utah State. I personally, I think they definitely belong in the tournament, and that means that if you think Utah State's a team that could make a little bit of a run, you might want to be looking at them as part of your last man standing entry at station casinos.
You absolutely should, guys. I think there's a number of teams that you can talk about who could make a run if it's Washington or Louisville or Auburn or Baylor or Utah State. But last man standing, I think it's the ultimate handicapping event for the college basketball tournament. $25 entry fee. 4 entries gets you the 5th one free, and it's $50,000 guaranteed. You win, you move on. It's been a great contest during college football, pro football, and I think it is the contest for the serious college basketball, the handicapper especially during this time of year and the Big Ten.
Chuck, that's obviously based against the spread, correct?
It is. It's against our contest line. You win and you move on. As long as you're picking, you don't have to pick, the first game on the board. You pick as long as you picked one of the games on the board. It could be early, midday, late in the day, but you win and you move on. So it is against our contest line. Try to be as competitive as we can with that line that goes up. But it's a really fun contest, guys. It's continued to grow in popularity and entries, and again, it's $50,000 guaranteed. So when you have a tournament that's open like this, and we're in a social media era and information era, there's a lot going on with a lot of schools and a lot of great information, including what we'll be providing in our seminar on March 19th in Club Madrid. It's free, open to the public. It's at 6 o'clock. And we'll be giving out some great information that night, too.
We've got some great information as far as the Jacksonville Jaguars are concerned. It looks like Nick Foles will be their new quarterback. That is not official yet, but he's expected to sign with them sometime in the next week. So let's talk about it, Chuck. What does this do for the Jaguars? What kind of adjustments do you anticipate as far as future betting is concerned?
Well, I think you're going to have to, of course, adjust them somewhat, but I still think they play in a really tough division. I think when you look at the way that the Texans played last year, the Colts now with Andrew Luck, that's so much healthier. Tennessee with Mariota, they took some strides. Those other 3 teams in the AFC South, guys, were all 6-2 at home. The Jags were 3-5 at home. I believe 2-6 away. They really struggled. They had some off-field problems with Fournette. Bortles didn't play like they thought he would. The defense took a step back. I think they have other issues. I still think they're behind both the Texans and the Colts in that division, and probably even par with the Titans. So I don't think it's a huge adjustment. I think Foles was a little bit a product of Philly. He understood that team. He did well for that team. He had been there before. He understood the fans. I think he was a perfect fit for Philly. We'll have to see if he's a perfect fit in Jacksonville or not.
Chuck, moving to the NFL draft and the combine, who impressed you? Who do you think rose or fell in the rankings? And when you translate that to your draft and the odds you make, do you actually do mock odds prior to the combine and then tweak them, or do you wait till the combine's done and then start working on your odds for the NFL draft?
Yeah, we'll wait till the combine's done to do that, guys. I think a lot of it was linebackers. I mean, you talk about how good Devin White and Josh Allen looked. I thought Nick Bosa looked really well. Montez Sweat, with what he ran the 40 in, 4.41 was crazy. I still think a lot's going to be interesting with the quarterback situation. I mean, think about that profit. If we're able to put it up, is who will be the number 1 overall pick in the draft? I think Nick Bosa is a surefire number 1 pick.
So do I.
Helped that Arizona defense, but they went out and got Kingsbury, and I think for a reason, with an eye on potentially drafting Kyler Murray number 1. I didn't think Murray was should be the number 1 pick a month ago. Personally, I still don't. A little bit of product of that conference and the lack of defense in that conference. Not saying that he won't translate to a good quarterback at the next level, but I guess the big choice is do you want to draft Kyler Murray number 1 and play with whatever you can get for Josh Rosen, or do you want to go with Josh Rosen and have the number 1 overall pick? It's a difficult choice. but I really think they're leaning towards dealing Rosen.
You know, the quarterbacks, Haskins and Haskins and them can thank all those quarterbacks last year that started and had some success, and we now see rookies starting. But have you ever had? Can you ever remember an NFL team to drop? Was Rosen 10 or 12? To draft a top 10 or 12 quarterback and perhaps draft another one in the top 10 again next year?
You know, I think it's happened before one other time. I don't recall exactly when. I know it's a little bit of deja vu for Arizona, though. I believe they drafted Matt Leinart, number 10, and then they had the coaching change the year after where they brought Wisenhunt in, and I think it wasn't his guy, and I think they went into another direction a short time later. So Arizona seems to, have a propensity to draft a quarterback early and then not like him and look to go someplace else. So I just think if you went out and got Kingsbury as coach, you're looking at Murray. I just think, to draft him number 1 overall, I think they could potentially move down and still get him. But that's a decision they're going to have to make. I mean, if you pass a Nick Bosa or a Williams or a Josh Allen or Devin White, I think it's awfully tough for a team that has so many holes right now.
I don't run the Arizona Cardinals, obviously, but if I did, I don't care who the coach is. I'm drafting Nick Bosa number 1. I think he's one of those rare, almost once-in-a-generation talents on defense. He's that good. I mean, he's going to transform the defense immediately, and to me, you just take him. It's as simple as that. He's the best guy out there. I think he's got a chance to be a Hall of Fame player. And I'm not. You're giving me a choice between Bosa, who I think is a sure thing if he stays healthy, and a kid who's 5'10", playing quarterback. I know what I'm doing.
I mean, the thing with Bosa,
I think the big question is if they don't take him number 1, where does he go? I don't think he's going in the top 10. I think outside of Miami at 12, I think he could fall even further. So, I mean, maybe you get both if you're Arizona. You saw the Bears trade up 1 pick to get Trubisky. We've seen both the Rams and Eagles trade up to get their guys. We saw the Chiefs trade up to get Mahomes, the Texans to get Watson. Maybe you're creative. You're going to have a top pick in the 2nd round. If you get something for Rosen, maybe you package something and you're able to trade back into the 1st round in the middle of the 1st round, and you end up with Bosa and Murray. That's what I would look to do. I agree with you. I think it's really hard to pass on Nick Bosa.
Dave and Chuck, the one thing about Bosa is this. Very rarely do you have a lineage or a bloodline to follow. And when your big brother is a superstar in the NFL,
and this one's better.
At every level you were better than your brother, I mean, there's no better example that you are going to be an NFL superstar.
I think it's tough for Arizona, though, because going out and getting a new coach and maybe not having the success with Rosen that they wanted. David Johnson, under the last coaching staff, didn't appear to be the same David Johnson, although it was a wrist or a hand injury. They just didn't seem to use him well. His legs should have been healthy. I just wonder if Bosa's the sexy enough pick for them. That I think with Murray, they look to get that red gun offense again that Kingsbury had at Texas Tech, and what can they open up with Murray, and what's the potential there? And I think they're a little bit fascinated with that possibility. Yet I still believe that Murray, although a great collegiate quarterback, still was a little bit a product of that conference that played really no defense.
And, here's more stuff to bet on because we're going to have more available menu items this year for the NFL draft, and the draft party at Sunset Station should be absolutely dynamite.
Yeah, the draft party is Thursday, April 25th. That as well, guys, is free and open to the public. Got a lot of cool goodies we'll be giving away that night, including the draft caps. So when the Cardinals are on the clock, somebody has the potential to win a Cardinal draft cap and so on through the entire draft. So a lot of fun stuff. But it is. The draft's become a bigger and bigger event. We've put up more and more props. I think we'll look to target more of those this year. And as we get closer and closer, you're going to hear a lot more rumblings about risers and fallers and what teams are looking at. I think a lot's going to depend on, where Le'Veon Bell potentially goes, Tevin Coleman goes, Antonio Brown, if he's traded, where he goes, will have an impact on where some of these teams are looking to draft players on April 25th as well.
Well, Bryce Harper now chose Philadelphia as the city he's going to be living in for quite a while. Tell us what you think the prospects are for the Phillies now, and how much did Harper change the betting market for the World Series or in that division?
You know, guys, in all honesty, we were extremely proactive. We had a good feeling that that was going to be his landing spot. Didn't know for sure, of course, but felt that there was a good possibility, especially in the 72 hours leading up to him signing with Philly. So we did move the Phillies win total up about 10 days before that, 2 full wins, and then moved them up another notch after the signing. They play in a tough division, though. I mean, you look at the Mets and the Braves, and I don't think the Nationals are really that far off. I think they're all really good teams. And I think when you look at Philly, I think they were bidding against themselves, in all honesty. Realistically, I did not think he'd go to the Giants. This is a guy who's 26 years old. We know how long he's been in the league now. If you want to win, the Giants are nowhere close to winning. They've got an aging team. Bumgarner's a free agent after this year. Cueto's out for the season. They've got a lot of question marks there. And that ballpark isn't a great hitter's ballpark. So if he wants to hit some home runs and drive in some runs, he's in a perfect ballpark for that. But they're in a very, very competitive division.
And the Golden Knights. We talked about the Stone Age arriving in Las Vegas. And I'll tell you what, it's been pretty delightful so far. I think this is a different hockey team right now. It's 3 games is a small sample, but mentally they look like a much more confident team to me. And I think the Golden Knights are actually, they're a team with, in my opinion now, a real shot to win the Western Conference.
I do as well, guys. And I think, when you go out and you sign somebody or trade for somebody like Mark Stone, is that you send a message, not only to your team, but to the league and to the fans. And I think the way that they had been playing going up to the trade deadline, they needed to shake something up. For whatever reason, it was more on the offense than the defense. And, I thought they needed some help up front. They went out and got the best possible guy. He had I think he had 19 more points than anybody else on the Knights team. They play in a very good Pacific where Calgary is really good, San Jose is really good, and they were falling behind where Arizona was within 4 points of them.
Yes.
Arizona actually won 6 straight games right now and is on the heels of a wild card spot. It's still not going to be easy for Vegas because opposed to last year when they had home ice advantage throughout, that's not going to be the case. They're going to open a best of 7 in San Jose or Calgary, and a Game 7 would be in one of those 2 barns as well. But I do think Stone helps a lot. They can roll out 4 lines now that are really talented. But bigger than that, I think it's the way that Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh, boy.
I think he's the difference. I think you look at Mike Smith with the Flames and Jones with the Sharks, the big difference, Fleury. However, the Knights have struggled against teams that are in the playoffs. I believe they're 11, 18-2. They've beaten the teams of late in Vancouver and Edmonton and some of the lower teams that they're supposed to beat. But they've got to beat now the teams that are in the playoffs, and now's the time to do it.
No question about that. And tell us about the next viewing party at Sunset Station, which is for one of the Golden Knights road games, and it's usually a great time.
Yes, we tried to bill it as your home when the Knights are away, and our next viewing party, guys, is this Sunday, March 10th, and it's against the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, big game.
What a great game. I think, again, the Knights have to play well against the teams that are in the playoffs. They had that speed bump in early or mid-February, and that's fine. Get it out of your system. You want a team playing its best ball in any sport as the postseason rolls around. They're getting healthy. They're starting to play well. Fleury's been great of late. And that viewing party, it's I think it's 6 o'clock or 6:30 start against Calgary on Sunday night. We'll be giving away an official on-ice jersey, some Foley wine, and other cool swag as well. And that, too, is free and open to the public, guys, and it's this Sunday.
Just one more good reason to make Sunset Station one of your regular stops when there's a big event going on in Las Vegas. It's a great place for locals and guests from out of town to congregate and have a great time. And if you've got the mobile app on your phone, it's real easy to get your bets in.
It is. I mean, the mobile app's the key. I mean, you guys mentioned it earlier that there's some conference games that are starting today and tonight. What better way with all the early start times and all the different sports that are going on? We love it when the guests come in. But if you can't stay and come in, come on in for a short time. We'll get you signed up for the STN mobile app, and you can play all these games from anywhere that you're at. With the NBA and NHL postseasons coming up, college conference tournaments and the big dance with all the different start times. You've got the mobile app now, and of course the in-play aspect just changes everything for the bettors.
Chuck, we will talk to you very soon. Great job as always, and good luck with the next few days as far as